Hi,
Hey,
how you doing? How you feeling this week?
not too bad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So we're talking about the astrology for the 21st of February, so yesterday through the 28th of February. And it's actually one of those kind of weeks where like every big astrological aspect that's happening this week is a variation of a theme and all kind of fortify each other leading up to the full moon in Virgo on Saturday, the 27th. So, um, the general energy of Pisces season is very like ethereal and leaning towards the spiritual. It's like for us, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, we're kind of in like the dead of winter in anticipation of spring. And so it keeps us still indoors. Obviously, we're indoors way more than maybe we would normally be, even though at least some of you are in a warm climate. Um, and and so during Pisces season in general, we're like more tuned into the mystical. There might be more mystical experiences. We might be more dreamy. Dreams are certainly a little more active during Pisces season, especially while Neptune transits Pisces, which is like a very long transit. I'm not super sure right now how long it is, but I want to say it's like a 9-year transit or something. Like it's a long time. Um, so Pisces is very accentuated and strong. However, this week is actually more Virgo than Pisces, and that is not always the case leading up to the Virgo full moon, but kind of awesome that we have it because we're in the midst of like a lot of change where it's common to feel restless and uh, just like I want to get started. I want to get out of my house. I want to change things up. Like, is anyone feeling like, all right, when's this going to end? Let's get back to like going to coffee shops and yoga studios and interacting with each other. Let's hug some people. Um, so that restless feeling between like old and new is really strong. And a lot of that is due to this year-long transit that we have, which is Uranus square Saturn, or Saturn in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus. And that's like really this clash of old and new and the challenges that are arising from that. Like we can't go back to the old, but what can we take from the way that things were and bring them forward into a new way of being in a new world? And there's going to be parts of that feel exciting, and there's likely to be moments where we feel anxious and frustrated and like things aren't moving fast enough, or who's in charge here, who's making the decisions, when are we going to be free again? And so overall, we have this year-long kind of blanket theme of wanting to break free. And this week specifically, we have on the 24th, trine, which trines in general are harmonious flows of energy. They tend to be areas in our personal charts and energetic moments where we have the opportunity to kind of jump into the current and move into the flow in some way in our lives. And you can look into your own chart where um, Taurus is and where Capricorn is, so two earth signs, to kind of have some insight into where you might want to lean into ease or drop some of your tension, or where you might be kind of like gripping too hard or leaning towards like either the anger or irritation of Mars or the like obsessive nature of Pluto. And you have the opportunity to kind of let that go and make some things happen with this transit. And so, normally or always, Mars and Pluto are like the two most violent planets in their embodiment. And so, normally, when we talk about Mars and Pluto, we're kind of like, ooh, this could be intense. And certainly, if you are kind of prone to irritation or you're finding yourself with like a loose, what's the word, like, you know, like a what's the word? Does anyone help me out here? Like when you're like a loose cannon, I guess, or you're like have like a loose wire and you're just right on the edge of something. Like if you're really stuck in anger or frustration, this could be a transit that has you like blow your top off. However, more likely, what it can do is kind of like push you forward. And so, if there's anything that's going on in your life personally that you've been feeling stuck around, and you've been feeling like I just like can't get that project started, or I can't find the motivation, or I can't seem to find a perspective that like lets me find the path forward, this is a really good transit. Really all week, but specifically the 24th, which is Wednesday, is it's a really good transit to like start something, make something happen. Normally, we don't really make a new thing happen during a full moon week, but this transit specifically is one where it's like start the dang thing, even if it's not perfect. Just like put something out there, publish something or start the project. And that can be like this really helpful force of Mars and like ability to dig deep into something, Pluto. And the two of them are just buddies this week. So that's actually really nice. And along with that, the next day, we have the sun in a sextile to Uranus. Um, so trines and sextiles are positive aspects in astrology, or I hate to use the word positive or negative, they're more like um, easeful energies versus what we normally talk about in astrology, which are squares and oppositions, which is why, like, sometimes when you read astrology write ups, you're like, damn, these are so negative. Because most of the time we focus on squares and oppositions, which create tension. And as I said last week, they create enough friction in order for us to do something. And so when it comes to trines and sextiles, which we have this week, we have to initiate the change. We have to initiate the friction to get things going. However, these two types of aspects, trines and sextiles, help us. They tend to create the flow or initiate the flow. And so Sun sextile Uranus is, all about like coming to a conclusion. Again, it's energy to make things happen or to find a solution. And so you could find this week that if you are possibly feeling stuck in a certain area of life and you initiate some action to make something happen, then the next day following this Sun sextile Uranus helps you to see, like, oh, I could do it that way. I didn't even think about it. Because the way that Uranus works, Uranus is one of the planets that relates to intuition. We have two, Uranus and Neptune. Uranus relates to intuition through the mind. And so it's like a sudden flash of insight or a bright idea or like I didn't even think about that. That's how the intuition of Uranus works. Where the intuition of Neptune, which we're going to see some Neptune activity next week, works more about in an emotional state. It works more about a feeling like, oh, I just have like this feeling about it. I think that's what I'm supposed to do. So it's like the intuition of the body versus Uranus being the intuition of the mind. Is that making sense here? Are you with me? Yeah, cool. So when the sun is sextile to Uranus, it's like, boom, whoa, that's how I do it. Conclusion. All I had to do was like call that person and ask for their advice or send this thing to that other person and they totally picked it up and now I'm collaborating and that's all I wanted in the first place. And so both of these aspects require you to do something. It's not normally that sextiles and trines work by like knock, 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 like here's your fortune. It's more of like, I'm just gonna move this over here. Like I'm gonna rearrange my furniture. And then all of a sudden you're like laying on the other side of your room and you're like, oh shit, that's how I like make $1 million. It's kind of like you have to put the circumstances in the space in order to change your own energy. And what's cool about that, if you are to accept the invitation to like get your act together and push some things around and move a few things around in your life, is that all of this leads up to the full moon in Virgo on Saturday. And I think that Virgo and Pisces as opposites are a really clear understanding of how astrology is like this study of dichotomy. And I talked about this a little bit yesterday, Lisa, so you'll get another version of saying it. But we live in a world that sees things so frequently in binaries, like girl, boy, male, female, yes, no, night, day, right? However, the way that we actually live as human creatures in nature is not in the binary. There are no binaries in nature. Like, you don't go from day to night instantly, you transition. We are on a spectrum of gender. There are moments in time where we may show up more in this feminine energy, and there are moments in time where we really step into a more masculine energy. And we can present and embody in a multitude of ways. And so when we're looking at astrology as a study of polarity, we're looking at the dichotomy and the transition between the two, not that the two are in exact opposition to each other and you're either one or you're the other. Like, okay, you're a Scorpio, and so you're not at all a Taurus. They're the same thing in reflection to each other. I think, Christina, we talked about this last week or the week before. And so when we have a full moon, we're using the moon being in one place and the sun being in the other place in exact opposition to each other in order to highlight the extremes of the two and to find ourselves somewhere within that. Does that make sense? So the reason why I think Pisces and Virgo are so clear is because I'm a Virgo and I understand Virgo very well, but also because they are the spiritual, ethereal, unseen realm, Pisces, like the dreamer in us in this very, um, you know, the world is this mystical place, like a very, if you've ever had like a really lucid dream or a psychedelic experience or something like that, where you're like, wow, we are just particles vibrating in space. Like if you've, I did this meditation for 100 hours. It was like 10 days of silent 10-hour meditation. And I had this experience where I don't think I'm like supposed to talk about it, but I had this experience where like I totally evaporated into like cells. Like I could feel that I was just like billions and trillions of cells vibrating, and it was like completely transcendent. Yes, it was Vipassana. Um, and I'm so earth-based that to me it was like I've never experienced anything like that before. And that's a very Piscean experience. Some people have that experience like a lot in their life. Some people have that experience through taking certain substances. Some people are just like total dreamers and they have to learn how to live on Earth. But that's Pisces. It's like the surrender into the abyss. So it's not religion, it's the transcendence of needing to form a structure. It's like, I don't need a church to define my faith. Pisces is so far, it's like the portal between death and birth. And so it's almost undefinable. Whereas its polarity, Virgo, is the mundane elements of being alive. It's like I wake up, I have to drink water, I have to feed myself, I have to go to the bathroom, I have to, make money, I have to, like, how do I actually live on earth? So it is not void of spirit, but it is a look at how do I take that ethereal life that's moving through me and turn it into something that can move through life. And so in their polarity to each other, we're looking at who we are as structured human beings in form, and then the actual life that animates us. And the flip of the Virgo full moon would be the Pisces full moon, which is like usually in September. And it was September 4th. So you could think back to where you were around September 4th. That's like Labor Day for us. What was going on in your life, and where are you at now? What has transpired and transitioned? What themes have been developing in those 6 months? But in that flip, you have the sun in Virgo, shining a light on the moon in Pisces. That was September. So, with that, you have the mundane way that you're living, Sun in Virgo, illuminating you as a spiritual being. Whereas now you have the Sun in Pisces illuminating the moon in Virgo. So, you as a spiritual being bringing life into your mundane life. So it's really considering, how do you animate your life? What gives your life meaning? And as we look at our routines and our health, and literally like from waking up to going to bed, where in your life are you pleased? Where in your life do you feel like, yeah, I'm living in alignment with my soul and my desires? And where am I not? Like, am I saying yes to things that I don't want to say yes to? Am I sleeping in longer than I truly desire to? Am I working that job that like I actually hate and resent and causes me lots of anger? Am I in a relationship day to day and I'm not making my own choices in that relationship? These are just like examples I'm pulling out of my brain right now. But you want to think that over this week, you have this opportunity to make things happen and to initiate the change that might be calling and that you're yearning for. We just came out of Mercury retrograde. Last Thursday, we had that Saturn square Uranus that I mentioned. So we're itching for change. We've been contemplating it. We've probably had experiences that have pissed us off. We've probably acted in ways that have frustrated us. We're maybe seeing like our own ways of being that are not how we want to be. Maybe our goals have changed or our values have changed, but our routines haven't. So now we have this opportunity this week to come to some conclusions, make some things happen, initiate some newness, and most importantly, with this full moon, we have like an opportunity to let some things go. Full moons tend to create in their opposition a pull in two different directions, like a pull towards the spiritual. I just want to meditate all day. I just want to do yoga nidra all day. I just want to like escape, whether that be through like daydreaming or drinking wine or somewhere in between. Um, and then the opposite, which is I just want to go, go, go and work and over analyzing everything. Like, why did they say that to me? And why did I do that? And how can I be more perfect? So, like a worry and um, overabundance of energy being given towards like the mundane, routine elements of life. But the reality is, from my perspective and from astrology's perspective, is we're not meant to be one or the other. We're meant to be both. If we can find presence and surrender into the divine, or a feeling like, you know what, the whole world, keeping the whole world together is not my job. Keeping my whole world together is not my job. Like, the universe has my back in some way. There's something bigger at play that I can lean into. I can trust that if I don't do everything perfectly or, you know, please everyone, it's okay. I'm going to be okay. There's faith there. And then with that, how can I just live my life in a way that feels good? And how can I create some structure in my life that also includes daydreaming and appreciating beauty and being in nature and expressing love? And the more that we can kind of reconcile the pull between the two, then we're really stepping into that full moon energy that really wants to see us feeling supported and bolstered to take the action that feels supportive to us, right? And so it's not one or the other. It's not that like, oh, you're a spiritual being and you can't get anything done or you can only do and you can't be. It's really an opportunity this week to create the circumstances that allow you to not do as much and infuse your life with more being. And that is like the dichotomy or the polarity of health. And that's what Virgo and Pisces can really teach us is whole, healthy embodiment. The embodiment of like, I can get my shit done. I can follow my dreams. But I'm not going to worry about it so much that I forget like I'm a human being, not a human doing, right? Does anyone have any questions about any of that? No? So the question to ask yourself is, where are you worrying too much in your life? So you can consider that, or any of you feeling like there's a like a glimmer of worry somewhere. Like I can speak like totally. I feel like I'm like worry like am I ever going to get to teach yoga to a human again in person? Am I ever going to eat inside of a restaurant again? So like where are you worrying too much? These are just like kind of silly examples, but they're not really that silly to me. Like I really miss elements of the world that I got to have a year ago when I got to like hang out with all of you guys. And so if we can release some worry and give some energy to faith, what do we do with that extra energy? And that's where like creating something with this Virgo energy can be helpful, or a perspective that's helpful to think about is that it's not about adding more into the life that you already have. And should you read like some canned astrology memes or app examples of a Virgo full moon, they'll be like, um, you know, what can you do to be a better person, to be a healthier person, or where do you need to create more structure, schedule in your life? But that's not the point. The point is actually with the full moon in Virgo to like get some energy out. Like where are you putting energy that's because you're worrying or you're over analyzing or you're trying to overprotect, and actually lighten your load, release some burden, let some things go so that there can be more life flowing through you. Because it's about animating your being, not overburdening your being and taking on more. That's like classic pre-Mercury retrograde, hasn't done any personal work, Virgo, like over worrying, over analyzing, struggling to try to be perfect for everyone, particularly of this being perfect to the self. And it's just like pushing a boulder up the hill. You're not really kind of learning how to create sustainable change that lasts, right? And so, where are you worrying too much? And then the second piece of this Virgo full moon that we can take into our personal work is considering um, what ritual do I want? Like, what can I commit to? Virgo commits. What can I commit to that allows for me to have that connection, a transcendent connection or a connection to something bigger? And that could simply be I'm going to leave my house once a day. I'm going to open the window and let some air flow through. I'm gonna I'm in a really cold place, so I can't even imagine doing this, but I'm gonna take off my shoes and feel the ground beneath my feet. I'm gonna pray or create a gratitude list. Anything that can be a ritual of being, of connecting to something that is less getting something done, less like, check, I did it on my list, and more like, this feels so good to me. And this makes me feel like I'm a whole human. It could be calling your sister or not calling your sister. So really just thinking about like, yeah, we want to make things happen this week, but maybe not in a way that puts so much pressure on doing or doing it right. And more so is like witnessing yourself in the blessing of stumbling or not getting it right or something like that. And so it's really like, to me, an opportunity that presents a pretty beautiful energy of remembering who you are and remembering what it feels like to be whole, or like remembering that you are whole, right? Um, and to get a little bit like uh, soft with yourself, which I think is like one of the blessings of Virgo when they can figure that out. Like when I finally was like, oh, I'm gonna stop being a jerk to myself and just like have fun and not write myself a script. Um, like new yoga teachers, I know like Christina and Sarah are both yoga teachers, and when you like first started teaching yoga, did you like write a whole script for yourself? No. Kind of like every posture. See, Sarah's like an Aquarian, and she's like, nah. I could show you my notebooks when I first started teaching yoga, and they're like 6 pages long. Like I wrote every single word that I was going to say. And I needed to do that. However, when you can loosen the grip on needing to be perfect and needing to have it all figured out, you find yourself. You find your freedom and you find a little bit more joy, because then you're just really connecting. And that might be one of the biggest things about Pisces in terms of an energy that I think we can lean into this season, is that it's really about connecting to life. It's like within the structure of being, there is life that's flowing. And when we're like totally relaxed, say you're like with your best friends, or you're just in one of those days that totally has a groove and a flow to it, and you're just being, you're not afraid to like say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. That's just life being animated through you. And that's one of the blessings of really leaning into Pisces, is like, yeah, Pisces can kind of like get dragged down or get bogged down in the feelings and the emotions of being, but that means they can also go up really, really high. And they can also get lost in like a totally beautiful, infinitely creative realm. And some of us find that's easier to access than others, but we all have the potential for it. And so as we kind of move into our Yoga Nidra, I just want to invite you that over this week to really tune into your creativity, because that's, Pisces is like so creative. And so creative movement, improvisational activities, watercolor, painting, dancing, um, daydreaming, listening to music, playing music, any tuning into the creativity and letting yourself fall into the energy of the music or of the movement is like, do that. Do that as much as you can, um, as much as possible, because so much inspiration can come from that. And that's that Uranus energy of like, ah, I never thought of that. I never thought that, like, you're dancing and you're moving and you're like, oh, that's the solution. That's all I have to do. It's so easy. And that's like the best. It's so good when you have those moments. And so let's do that. All right. Should we do some yoga nidra and chill? Yeah. Cool. All right. So lay down. You can turn out your lights. You can turn off your camera. Do what works for you. And what I suggest is laying yourself down in such a way that you're really supported. So um, putting some pillows underneath your knees, or underneath your head, a blanket on your body, maybe a piece of fabric over your eyes. And just start to take some deep and cleansing breaths. Give yourself these purifying breaths as a way to release any tension that may be gripping, any irritation that might be held anywhere in your body. And one little pre-Nidra practice can be just clenching and releasing your hands several times. Maybe even doing the same thing with your face or your feet. And just progressively kind of softening the muscles of your body. And letting gravity take you a little bit closer and a little bit more connected to the earth that you get this beautiful opportunity to walk upon every day. Familiarize yourself energetically with the room that you're in. And just noticing how it feels to be in this familiar place. The sense of safety in this room, in this city or town. And just kind of that feeling of what does home feel like? Once we walk into the door of home and we know and have registered that we're there, we can recognize, maybe we don't always recognize it, but there's this feeling of it. Almost like putting a light weighted blanket on. And just begin to scan your body from the crown of your head all the way down through your face and your neck and shoulders, your chest and your belly, and scanning down your thighs and knees all the way to the soles of your feet. And then from the soles of your feet, begin to scan up as you breathe until you reach the crown of your head. And familiarize yourself with this sense of inner home, the feeling of being in your body. There may be sensations that aren't perfect. There may be pain or discomfort. There may be frustration. But this is your home. And somewhere, in some way, in some parts, there is a sense of ease. Find that now. And zero in on where you feel that ease in your body. And consider that as you observe ease, there's the potential for it to expand. Now come back to your breathing. It's gentle now, easeful. And then you can imagine that you are laying on the ground somewhere outside, and it is the most perfect temperature, the kind of day where the air temperature is just the same as the body temperature, that you don't even really notice it. And just complete homeostasis of the body. And on that perfect day that you lie in the earth, the whole sky is above you. The most gentle breeze soothes you. And then as you lie here on the earth, any care, any stress, any tension floats by like a cloud in the sky. And in this moment, it is less relevant than it needs to be. It is unnecessary to dwell on. You welcome now a perfect state of ease to your breath, to your body, and to your experience. And we begin the practice of Yoga Nidra. And I invite the Sankalpa, I am healed, into your consciousness. You can repeat that in your own mind a few times. I am healed. I am healed. And should another message make more sense for you or feel more potent, use it. Welcoming a healing energy into this whole space that you reside in. And there's nothing you have to do. There's no one you have to be. You are in a perfect state of healing now. And then this healing energy potentiates throughout your body. Experience this healing invitation move through your hands. Both right and left hand, from fingertips to palm, are full of this healing energy. Maybe you visualize it as a light that fills each finger, your palms, the backs of your hands, and even the bones of your hands. Maybe it's a sensation, or just simply a knowing that you hold healing in your hands. And continue to let that healing energy really marinate and luxuriate each little detail, each cell, and even the potential energy that wraps in between each finger, until your hands hold the powerful force of healing that can do the deep and powerful healing work of the world. And let that healing energy from your hands spread and expand now up into your wrists and forearms, moving through every vein, tendon, ligament, and bone. Every cell in your forearms and in your wrists infused with the potential of healing. Into the capsules of your elbows, the biceps and triceps and upper arm bones, feeding into the shoulders and wrapping around the back, and spreading into the collarbones, the chest bones, and weaving throughout and within each and every rib and the space between the ribs, all the way down to your waist and hips. And this healing energy moves like river pathways through your whole torso and into your pelvis, down your thighs, the bones and the muscles of your thighs and your glutes, all the way to the capsules of your knees, infused with healing, and pouring down your lower legs and into your feet, like little rivers of healing into all the bones and tendons and ligaments that make your feet the complex and miraculous tools that they are. each and every one of your toes, given this healing dose. And from the soles of your feet, pooling with healing energy, the feeling of this healing moment moves into the backs of your legs and up the backs of your thighs and begins to feed into your lower back and to every vertebra of your spine. Little capsules of strength that allow you to stand upright are given this soft release, full permission to heal now. Healing continues to spread up your back and spine, weaving rivers into your neck, and the back of your skull, the crown of your head, pouring the frequency of healing across your forehead, healing your eyes from any strain, opening your nose to rejuvenation, to smell and to taste, washing across your skin, your cheeks, your lips and your mouth. And the healing energy moves across the whole face, infusing every feature with healing. It enters through your ears into your skull. Become aware of your brain, the space within your head. The flow pours down into your throat and chest, enveloping your heart and lungs. Protective healing infuses through the permeable layers of your lungs and transporting through the beat of your heart, healing into your whole body, every cell. As blood moves through your whole body with each pump of your heart, healing is moved with it. And feel yourself holding the power and potential of a healed self. And throughout your whole body. And in your being, experience how life continues to flow through you with every breath you take. Observe the subtle and intimate way that you breathe. Just allowing an inhale into your body connects you with the universe within. And how releasing an exhale out of your body offers something to the universe outside. And how in the exchange of inhale and exhale, the division between your inner universe and the outer world dissolves. And can you just be here now? Life, breathing, life. And following with your consciousness to the outer shores of your physical body and allowing them to dissolve. And allowing your sense of self to dissolve. Allowing now your consciousness the opportunity to be everywhere, to fill the whole room. To move through walls, fill the whole house, the whole building. Like paints mixing on a canvas, energy moves and dances with air, filling the whole night sky. Notice where your energy wants to go. If there's a certain place you find yourself drawn to travel to, or a certain person you feel drawn to journey with. And let yourself go. Any resistance met, your consciousness has full permission to dissolve, to move through. Dance in the ethereal source of life with the ease in which you breathe. And as you travel and rise with the ease of your breath, allow any density to remain at earth level. And you yourself are floating in the infinite realm of potential and possibility, surrounded and enmeshed with healing energy. This healing energy itself is magnetic. It has the power to magnetize to you, anything needed, any solution, any dream. You don't do anything. You just lay in your magnetic fields. Notice what comes to you, what is magnetized to you. Is there anyone magnetized to you? A person or an animal? Perhaps an insight, the answer to a question you might want to ask. Maybe the most supreme circumstances are magnetized to you. And just be in your healing chamber. Dispersed in the infinite universe. The whole world is your healing chamber now. And a part of your consciousness always stays here, magnetizing, healing, expanding, giving, receiving. And this part of you lives in infinite appreciation and gratitude. It simply does. Notice how that feels to have a part of you that is always in access to appreciation and gratitude. And see if it's possible to turn the volume of appreciation up all the way to 10. Full power of gratitude. And that part of you that is always in access of gratitude is the core of your heart. And place that core right back into your heart. And just as your heart beats blood out to your entire body, your heart beats appreciation just the same. Magnetizing from your heart all other parts of your being that may have floated away, met someone else, or traveled somewhere far away. Magnetizing all parts of you back to the core being of your heart now. And as you start to reassemble as a human in form, you become a little heavier and float from wherever you are back down to your bed or to the floor or to wherever you are lying. And still holding that power of healing, but now just being home, safe and cozy and warm, breathing, whole and awake. I am healed. Repeat that twice more. And the practice of Yoga Nidra is complete. We are complete. And I invite you to stay here if you can, just chilling, gently resting. And if you can't for any reason, that's okay. Just start to gently wake yourself up. And deepen your breath. And in this liminal space before full awakening, just consider for yourself, what is one way that you can create space in your life right now, or at least tonight or this week, to let life live through you? What would that look like or feel like? And we'll close with that. Thank you.